can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, and how we doing out there all across this great land and around the world? It is that time. It's time for the Conservative Syndicate coming to you live right now. Out here from, we're broadcasting live today from just the left coast. Our co-host Joe Hakos, who lives out on the right coast, or the East Coast, certainly not the right coast, but the East Coast, is down with a very bad bronchial virus infection, and will probably be off the show again this week. He was missing all last week. We thought some bed rest was going to take care of it, but apparently it's a pretty bad infection. So our best wishes and prayers out there to our co-host, Joe Hakos from Dry Report, and I'll be flying solo again today, of course, along with Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live, who will be with us at the bottom of this hour, and we'll call into his show. I think today we're a guest on his show. He's a guest on our show every Friday, and we come on his show every Monday, and we simulcast. He's on the air right now along with myself, and so we just kind of tune in to each other's broadcast and take a half hour there to talk about whatever things are on our minds. So we're glad to have you with us. Welcome to 2016, already shaping up and promising to be a spectacular year, at least in the realm of politics. Some things going on out there that just don't look too good. Don't look too good in some respects and look great in others. Who knows? It's going to be a very unpredictable year. It's going to be a very roller coaster year, and it's going to be a very dirty year in terms of campaigns. You can tell the left is already gearing up, full bore, already out there, already have their Hillary Clinton defense plan in place. We're going to talk about that a little bit later today, along with some of the other things that are going on out there. We're going to talk about Obamacare a little bit today because everybody is touting it as such a roaring success once again in spite of the death spiral, and we'll explain to you why we believe that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Just kind of scan through my notes here. Oh, yeah, somebody, Don Dix was on our show. Don Dix is a regular weekly, bi-weekly contributor on the show here from Act for America. He was with us last week, and I believe it was towards the end of the show, he brought up an email or a blog that has been posted out on the State Department website. The State Department has its own blog site. And he was pointing out to us some of the things that the State Department are claiming just so well illustrate just how successful the Obama administration has been in fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Of course, they don't call it that. They call it accomplishments. And so we're going to talk about that. We didn't get a chance to go into depth with it because it came up towards the end of the show. But I looked up the article that Don was referencing, and I thought, you know what, we need to share this because this is absolutely the epitome of what how utopians think, how people like Barack Obama and those who adhere to the utopian mindset that we can create a perfect world if there are just enough laws, rules, and regulations to curtail all the evil that's in the world, and yet let everybody be absolutely free to do whatever they want. It's a paradox of idiocy. And we're going to talk about that, some of the things that the State Department is saying that Barack Obama, quote unquote, has accomplished And when we get into the context of it, you'll see why it's such a I don't know what the word is. It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. Utopian thinkers are fantasy driven. They're so displeased and so upset and have such low self-esteem that they think that they can create a world in which everybody gets along and everybody is absolutely equal and everybody has equal entitlement and equal outcome. And all we have to do, like I said, is to rule and regulate to make sure that this balance comes into play. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Some of the things that they're claiming is just so great. And then, of course, we're going to talk some about the Republican Party. What has happened to the Republican Party? In fact, I'm going to probably open up the show after our segment, our first commercial break here. And we're going to talk about that to some degree. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm just sitting here kind of looking at my notes thinking, well, what order can we go here? And, okay, we'll do that. Let's see. Let me put that over there. I'm just changing some things around here on my notepad. All right. Okay. All right. Now, again, I hope you all had a great Christmas 2015, a great New Year's Day. It was great out here at the Matthews family. We had family gathering, and what really made it great this year was everybody gathered at our house. We didn't have to do any driving or traveling, and that always makes it great because I just get to sit back and spoil the grandkids and just catch up on the latest that's going on with our sons and daughters and everything that's happening. So yeah, it was great for us, and it just reaffirmed my commitment to do what I do on this show and to continue to do it. There are days, I'm going to be honest with you, there are days you just want to throw your hands up and just say, you know what, the hell with it. This is going nowhere. And some days it looks like everything that we're trying to take back, it's one step forward and you just get lambasted with something else. But, when you look at your family and you look at your kids and you see what's at stake, what can happen to them if you relax, if you take your hand off the throttle, and it just motivates you to get back on and just do whatever you have to do to make sure that this great republic of ours is restored and saved, even though many who are protected by the very statutes and laws and rights established in our republic don't think the republic should be here anymore. So it's amazing the paradox of republicanism, and I'm not talking about the party, I'm talking about the concept of a republic. The very foundation of the republicanism is the freedom to debate and argue and state your case and disagree and even oppose the very government that protects your rights to do that. So that's kind of the paradox. But then again, that is what makes the country great, because when people can participate and choose to participate and bring things into the debate and talk about things and discuss things and reason things out, it always works for the better. Of course, what we see today is more about you extending your rights or practicing your rights, or your freedom of speech or your freedom of religion or your freedom to own guns and bear arms. All these things now are seen as a detriment to the utopian concept of peace. And I was just thinking about the Miss Universe pageant that took place, I guess, a week before last. And one of the great cliches, remember when all the beauty contestants wanted world peace? That's really kind of, in some ways, the beauty pageants are, again, utopian in design and intent. The perfect, beautiful women. I tell you, some of these women I've seen on these pageants, I think, are gorgeous. Some of them, I don't know. Without makeup, they probably look like a mud fence. And that's just the way it is. That's the truth behind the facade of beauty. And by the way, if everything about the war on women is about sexuality, why do we even still have these pageants? Why are we having pageants where we're matching beauty and poise as positive characteristics and attributes of womanhood if it's not about beauty and poise, if it's all about moving up the corporate ladder and castrating men, then why are we still gauging women by the way they look in a swimsuit? That's just something to think about. Anyway, we got to go to our first break. When we come back, we'll launch in today's festivities. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
The time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by CitizensUnited.org.
Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, who is out, will be out again this week. Joe has contracted a very bad bronchial virus of some type that has just really put him into bed and has just laid him down. And he's back. He was down in emergency. They released him, I understand, today. He's back in bed rest and should be okay. But just hope and prayer for him out there. Joe's been an integral part of the Conservative Syndicate, and without him, this show would be a much more complicated, much harder to run. So, but he'll be back. I know Joe; he's a fighter. He'll be back. So, our prayers to Joe and his family, and our best wishes. All right, now I do want to let everybody know we do have a chat room set up on our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. And I had to move it around. I had it on the home page, and I moved it to its own page just because it was something that was kind of out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. The chat room was very small, and during the course of the show, I don't always look at the chat room. I'll check it usually during breaks. So if you come into the chat room and you post a question or whatever, please understand that I may not respond to it right away, but I am checking it at breaks. During the breaks, and we'll respond on the air to any questions or comments that are made. Right now, we have somebody coming in using the chat name Royalsworth, and we just want to welcome him or her to the show. Not sure who we're dealing with here, but I only have one rule in the chat room, and that is no profanity towards anybody in the chat room. You can cuss all you want at the people we're talking about. Politicians are fair game. But nothing directed to people in the chat room, and any threats will be reported to the proper authorities one way or the other. So other than that, it's a free-for-all to say and do whatever you want in the chat room, okay? All right, let's get into our conversations for today. And I want to start out with, I mentioned it towards the end of the last segment, but I want to start off with it, this segment, and that is the idea of what's going on in the Republican Party. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about what's going on the Democrat side, particularly Hillary Clinton. But I want to address what's going on here on the Republican side for two reasons. One, it's very obvious if you're paying attention at all to what's going on out there, that the left is gearing up. They're gearing up to come after the Republican Party. And there's several reasons for that, and I'm going to try to touch on that between this segment and whatever segment I devote to talking about Hillary Clinton and her campaign strategy and the media lapdogs that are out there already preparing how they're going to address this campaign season. And it is not going to be pretty, my friends. If anybody knows how to throw a dirty campaign out there, it would be the Clintons. So we're gonna address that now. But I want to talk about a couple of things that happened. If you were listening, or if you happened to catch the week before last, I think it was last week also, the week before and last week, I had been invited to participate in a panel with a comrade in arms, so to speak, James Lowe, who has a show called The Jiggy Jaguar Show. And it airs out of Philadelphia. I believe it's an AM type station, but he also streams like we do here at the Conservative Syndicate. And he had asked me 2 consecutive weeks to be part of this panel that was kind of reviewing the year. You know, what did we see as the big things going on during the year? And we talked about some of the aspects of that. And one of the things, one of the first questions I was asked about when I came on the show was about Franklin Graham's denouncement of the Republican Party. And, of course, the way the media first framed it was more to do with he was upset about them funding Planned Parenthood. The Republicans have been saying for quite a while that they were going to defund Planned Parenthood when this budget thing came up. And as we pointed out, when all this came to surface, we spent, probably maybe 4 shows talking about Planned Parenthood and what it entails, what it is, what it isn't. And we were talking about the fact that was a political football. Everybody was out there talking about funding or defunding Planned Parenthood, not bringing to the surface the actual truth regarding funding or defunding Planned Parenthood. And that is that the funding does not come up until March of this year. Now, the budget that was passed, of course, was again touted and floated out there. Okay, well, the budget gave Obama the money he needed to keep Planned Parenthood fully funded, in spite of the fact the Republicans were telling us that they were going to defund. And they're still out there talking now about coming back sometime in the next month or so and going after Planned Parenthood and defunding it. All this is just political jargon right now. It's just political jockeying, because there's no money actually granted until March of this year, when the grants are actually allocated or set up. But apparently there's $527 million has been set aside in the budget to, I guess, fulfill this grant requirement come March of this year. And so Franklin Graham, the way the media is pressing it or painting it, is that Franklin Graham, in opposition to the Republicans not sticking by their guns regarding the funding of Planned Parenthood, renounced the Republican Party. Now, there's different versions of this depending on where you go. But the point being, and James asked me on the show, he said, well, what do you think of this? And I said, well, obviously the thing that first comes to my mind is why it took people like Franklin Graham so long to figure out the GOP is not going to do anything that they said they're going to do. They are, in essence, 2 sides of the same coin, or as I like to refer to them, jackasses and elephant skins. That's what they are. That's what I mean. You can tell me that they have a conservative voting record. You can tell me that it's all about winning elections. You can tell me they're governing the best way they can and they're learning how to compromise and blah, blah, blah. None of that is relevant when it comes down to looking at how they actually vote on any particular issue. And the record has been, since Obama came in office, is make a lot of noise, talk about all the things that Republicanism stands for, and then caving in and giving Obama whatever he wants for fear of being labeled racist or homophobic or extremist and all the labels that they put on people like us, as particularly those of us who participate in the Tea Party element of the Republican Party, or as we're now called, the right-wing extreme faction of the Republican Party. So, but in addition to that, Rush Limbaugh also, in the last couple of weeks, came down really hard on the Republican Party and pretty much renounced the Republican Party also, especially after the budget was passed. It's like, no, they sold us down the river. And if you'll remember, Mark Levin, just a few months ago, Mark Levin, who happens to be my favorite talk show host, I often say I want to be like Mark Levin when I grow up. He has been threatening to leave the GOP if Ted Cruz is not the Republican nominee, because anybody but Cruz in his mind means that the Republicans will just continue to do what they do. And all this talk about Paul Ryan being this great communicator doesn't mean anything if the communication all results in the same thing. And that same thing is what? Caving in to the Democrat demands, because they really, as my assessment and my opinion has been, the Republican Party really does not want to govern. The Republican Party just wants a job. The people in the Republican Party want jobs. They want to protect their interests. They want to protect their lobbyists, and they want to protect whatever money flows into their pocketbooks because of that. I think we covered on the show last year a list of the people that go into politics broke and come out millionaires because they can't pander and cater and are paid off by special interests. And that's why we promote on this show term limits, because it will not allow them to get so established that they can accomplish that they can sell us down the toilet in exchange for money or jobs as lobbyists when they get out, like Eric Cantor did, now working for the very company. Who was he? He's working for the very company that Timothy McVeigh, Timothy, what's his face? The guy used to be secretary. God, I can't remember his name. That's how important he is. And Larry Summers. I'll think of the name during the break here. But anyway, the point being is that some major players in the political party, the Republican political party, are now kind of catching up with the rest of us and saying, you know what, enough is enough. These guys are selling us out. They're selling us out on a regular basis. And even though we criticize them, we always in the back of our mind kind of thought they were going to catch on to what was going on and snap to. And it's pretty obvious they're not going to snap to. The only way the Republican Party can be salvaged at this point is to put somebody either in the White House that will force them to govern or expose them for who they are, or in the hands of the electorate, clean house like y'all keep saying we need to do. The polls out there, 85% of the people think Congress needs to be replaced completely, except for their representative. And as we've talked about on this show several times, that's basically Einstein's theory of insanity. You keep doing the same thing and you expect different results. So you keep electing your representative while claiming all the other representatives are bad. And what happens is we keep all the bad people around. And here we are. So I am going out on a limb here because I left the Republican Party about 2 years ago. And I joined the Conservative Party. Now, people are saying, well, wait a minute. I didn't know there was a Conservative Party. There is an actual legal, what do you want to call it, legal in every aspect, in every respect, an affiliated party called the Conservative Party. I joined that party last year. The year before I left the Republican Party, I registered as an independent and that was hard to do because I don't even believe independents have a clue what's going on. Independents are normally people who like to sit on the sidelines and watch everything implode and self-destruct and then tell you that the reason they don't vote Republican or Democrat is because they're above it all. But they're the first ones to claim and to berate and to criticize the results. Now, the truth is the Independent Party is a large block of swing votes. They have more people in the Independent Party these days than they do in the Republican or the Democrat Party. So I went independent just because I didn't know where else to go. And in the process of doing that, I found the Conservative Party. Now, I have a link on my website. If you go to my website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you'll see right in the very top left-hand corner of the homepage a big conservative emblem. That is the emblem of the Conservative Party. And if you click on that emblem, it will take you to the website of the Conservative Syndicate. And you can find out all you need to know about the Conservative Party, what their platform is, and what they're doing. And now they're actually talking, the Conservative Party has grown to such a degree now that they are actually talking about starting to put up candidates. They've been in a building process the last 2 or 3 years that I know of, and the membership is getting now to a place where, okay, now I guess you can say we got enough that maybe we can start floating somebody out there. At this point, maybe just to run against the likes of Cindy Sheehan or what's that meathead out there, the one that Roseanne Barr. You know, maybe we can only be that kind of a thing right now. But the point is, if you are tired of the Republican Party, maybe it is time to look at something else. And I examined the Conservative Party in depth, went through their website, looked at everything, and I said, yeah, these people represent what I believe. So I'm telling you all this to say that. I'm telling you that the Republican Party, for all intents and purposes, barring either somebody like Ted Cruz getting into the White House or cleaning house in Congress and getting people in there that will really represent conservative values, maybe this is what we need to do. Maybe it is time to upset. And people say, well, by doing that, you're giving the Democrats the White House. Well, what's the difference? What's the difference if they're both doing the same thing? That's my point. We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue right here on the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We got a lot more for you. Catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed-rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed-rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Happy 2016. Got a lot going on here. What we're going to do right now is time for us to check in with our good friend Bob Cardosa, and we're going to call him right now and get all set up with him for today's simulcast. We're simulcasting right now with Bob over there at the Robert Cardosa Live show, and just wait for him to tune us in here. And we'll see where we go from there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Come on, Bob, answer the phone. It's our time with you. And, okay, let's see what happens here.
Yeah. Hey, John, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing, sir? Okay, we lost contact with him. What's going on here? Okay. Let's see what happens here. This is the live radio. This is what happens when you have live radio. And we're here. Let's see. Let's call him on Skype and see if he picks up that way. I'm not so sure he can pick up. I think he has problems with his Skype setup. But we'll see if we can get him on here.
Hey, John, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I wasn't hearing you.
Yeah, well, I heard you on your phone.
Oh, okay. But the phone is still ringing, and I think I've got you on my other set here.
Okay.
Anyway, we're experimenting for the first time. Can you, if you can't hear me, if you got a problem, let me know. Basically, we're doing a simulcast with John Matthews and Joe Hakos. And John, what's going on? A little bit of confusion is for the first time we're actually using Twitter's Periscope, and we're doing a video of our radio show at the same time that we're doing the broadcast.
Yeah, we're. I'm flying solo today. Joe is down with pneumonia. So,
oh, you're kidding?
Yeah. He was all out last week and notified me today. He took him into emergency again today, but he's home. Some kind of really bad viral infection in his lungs, so he'll probably be out for the rest of this week.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. To hear that.
It's what happens when you get to our age,
So I guess the secret's out that I'm included in that group, right?
Yeah.
So listen, how were your holidays, John?
I'm sorry?
How were your holidays?
Oh, just excellent. Just a really good one. This whole holiday season, we were the ones where everybody congregated, so we didn't have to drive anywhere. That makes it perfect holiday for me.
Oh, that's super. Well, you know what? Hillary is in the news. Barack Obama is in the news. Everybody seems to be in the news. And Saudi Arabia is upset with Syria. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, I was just talking about on our show here, just before we checked in with you, the announcements in the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple of real heavy conservative figures renounce the Republican Party. Franklin Graham renounced the GOP last week, or just before Christmas, and Rush Limbaugh, right after the budget was passed, came out and said, "Okay, enough is enough. The Republican Party has to go." So I'm kind of grinning from ear to ear because I've been saying this for quite a while. I left the Republican Party 2 years ago, spent a year registered as an independent. Last year, signed up in the Conservative Party. There is an actual Conservative Party out there, so I joined that. And in line with the fact we had Mark Levin just a few months ago was saying the same thing. If Ted Cruz does not win the Republican nomination, he's done with the Republican Party also. So I'm thinking, once again, the mainstream guys are catching up with the rest of us, understanding that the Republican Party has outlived its usefulness. So that's what we've been talking about for quite a while now. So that's where I'm at.
Well, you know what's interesting? That you and I, and you're right, you and I have been talking about this for a long time. It's almost like there was something subversive taking place when it came to Donald Trump. And I'm still not convinced that that's not the case, that wasn't a plan that was set in place. The guy was a one-time Democrat for a long, long time, and all of a sudden splitting the votes, and the other guys that are traditional conservatives are being blocked out of this thing. And I think it's by design.
Well, it became really obvious to me after Obama's second term. I was already floating this idea around the first term, but it became painfully obvious after Obama was reelected in 2012 that the Republican Party, as it is right now, is not the party of Republicans. It is a faction of leftist-leaning moderates who happen to believe that it's more important to preserve their positions and their power rather than represent the people that have elected them. It's not about, I've come to the conclusion, and I'll stand by this unless something dramatically changes, that the Republican Party is not in the business of governing anymore. They're not concerned with governing. They are concerned with protecting their individual posts and positions and lining themselves up for lobbyist jobs once they leave. And I think this is probably the strongest argument to date as to why we need term limits, because when stuff like this has been allowed to happen, because we've allowed these people to plant their butts in their offices for 10, 15, 20, 30, sometimes 40 years, and you cannot be in that position without caving into the pressures and the temptation of being bought off. It's just, I don't think that's humanly possible. So where we're at right now is the Republican Party is just, as I would like to say all the time, they're jackasses in elephant skins. They are two sides of the same coin. The difference is, of course, the Democrats want to govern. The Republicans, I don't believe, want to govern. They just want to protect and preserve their power.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But you know what? But isn't that power diminishing as they continue down this path, John?
I'm sorry, say that again, Bob?
I say, isn't that power diminishing as they continue down this path?
Yeah, well, it's a sad state of affairs. And as you were just saying at the beginning of the segment here, everybody's in the news right now, but they're in the news for different reasons. The Republicans, of course, are in the news because, once again, they've caved and they've given the Democrats what they want. Yeah. The Democrats are in the news because they're in damage control mode for Hillary Clinton right now. There's things coming, there's still some things out there that could take this woman down if things get to the place where there's just no longer any defense for her whatsoever. Now, I don't know what that will take, because if Hillary Clinton was a Republican, she'd already been crucified by now. But so it's a very sad state of affairs. We got the primary season coming up. This is going to be a dirty year for politics. Everybody thinks, well, every year is a dirty year for politics. This is because nobody plays dirty politics better than the Clintons. And this is just going to be something we're going to see exactly just how evil politicians are. So it's a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs indeed.
You know what? I yearn for this for the politics of the '60s. You know, it just seems like everybody had integrity. Everybody that they understood what politics was about. Is everybody trying to get what they wanted based on their platforms, and making reasonable concessions to make sure that each side did win something, and that we progressed as far as the nation was concerned. But right now, as a nation, we're moving backwards.
Well, yeah, you know, this is really the sadness of it all. There's a lot of sad things about politics. There's a lot of things especially sad over the last 10 to 15 years. But the saddest thing is what I refer to as the willful ignorance of the electorate. The fact that people are concerned with what's going on, but don't really want to be a part of the solution. They'd rather sit in the background and just badmouth everybody and talk about how corrupt politicians are and everything. And nobody wants to take credit for the fact or take the blame for the fact that, hey, these people are there because we put them there. And we continue to do this, and we continue to think that somehow this is all going to change just because we're mad and angry and upset. Obviously, being mad, angry, and upset doesn't affect these people at all, because they just continue to do what they're doing. So, you know, if you really want to look at the people to blame, it's us. It's us, and that's just that's the bad part of it.
You know what? And we keep complaining, but we don't do anything about it. We keep putting the same people back in the seats in Washington, D.C. We don't do anything about it. We let them do whatever they want. You know, the president comes back, his first day back since his vacation. He's going to start doing some gun stuff to circumvent the Constitution. This is getting scary.
Well, it's a reflection of who he is. You know, he's got a year left. And he's going to throw as much crap against the wall as he can to see what sticks. Yeah. You know, I received a letter the other day from the organization Organizing for America, which is was when he was running for president, was his campaign outfit, but they changed it to Organizing for America once he was elected in the second term. So now it's become an activist organization for his administration. And this letter I received, of course, from none other than our dear lady, First Lady Michelle Obama. And she made a statement in this letter. I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see, where it's at here. Her statement was along this line. And, geez, where is it? I had it here. I moved some stuff around just before I came on the show, and I think it was probably not the best thing to do here. Oh, I know where it's at. Okay,
I don't know about you, because I took a couple weeks off,
here it is.
And I got myself so...
okay, here it is. She says here, I'll just read you one paragraph here, and then we got to go to a break here on my side here. Right. She says, 26 years ago, I fell in love with Barack because of his compassion and his desire to make life better for other people. It's just who he is and who he tries to be every day as president. He has only 12 months left as your president. And I know he's anxious to make the most of every opportunity to make change. And John, I don't know how they got my email address, but this is to me. And John, you'd better believe that you being right there alongside him, doing the hard work of organizing matters to him. See, Barack Obama has always been and will always be an organizer. He is not a president. He's not a leader. He's not an executive. He's an organizer. And so we're going to see him in high gear the remaining year he has in office. He's going in organizing overdrive, and that's what we're going to see.
Okay, so John, we're going to go on a commercial break. We'll be back in about, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is. And I'm going to disconnect here so my commercials don't bother yours, and you call me back when you're ready.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
You can catch all our at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. Hey, and we're back. And you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews. And I'm going to be checking back in here with Bob. And people might wonder sometimes why we do this the way we do. We're both simulcasting right now. We're both live right now. So this is how we kind of check in with each other and put the show on the air where we're both talking, but we're all actually both doing a live show as we're talking. So sometimes you'll hear a little bit of the technical jargon that goes on between us as we're trying to connect and make sure that the volumes are coming in and where it's supposed to go and everything else.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
Okay, so he's right now I'm not picking him up. So let's try to call back in here and let's see if we can get him on a number here. Let's hang that up. Let's go with Skype. See if we can get back on the Skype line here and get this all.
Hey, John, you there?
Yes, I am.
John Matthews, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
John?
Yes, I am.
Hey, John.
Yes, I'm here.
John, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, John.
I'm hearing you.
For some reason, I don't have John. We missed the connection. I think I've got him. I'm talking to him.
No, I'm hearing you.
I don't know if he hears me, but I'm not hearing him. John, I'm going to disconnect, and hopefully you can call me right back again, will you?
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll get that. Let's try it again and see if it works this time around. Live radio is such a great thing.
Hey, John, you with me?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Well, I don't understand what's going on with this thing.
Okay. Well, what I'll have to do.
John ought to be able to talk. And I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I'll call your phone.
What I'm going to do is try. I don't know what the heck is going on with this thing. John, I apologize to you. I don't know what's going on here. I had something all set and going. I'm going to try and don't seem to be getting that working, John. So let's. You know what, John? Let's just. Figure it ain't working. So
let's see if we can get him to pick up his phone. Let's try it that way. Let him ring on the phone. Let's see if
John, you got it?
Yeah, you there?
John? Hey,
Are
John,
you there?
You with me? Well, I don't know what's going on here. It's this doggone thing. What I'm going to try and do is to rig something different.
Okay, well, we're not going to be able to do anything there. We'll just continue here where we just got just some kind of problem here. And, okay, let's just sign off. All right. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about here. Where are we at here? We're at 3:53 out here in the left coast. All right. Let me follow up with that. What I was talking about with Bob before the break here, and subsequent to our connection problem here. This letter I get. First of all, I never have been able to figure out how I got on the list, Obama's mailing list. I'm sure somewhere out there I signed up for something and somehow my name got forwarded to their organization for whatever reason. But having said that, I'm kind of glad that I get this stuff because in it you get some really good information that you wouldn't normally get if I was to, say, call Organizing for America and ask them questions or get somebody to interview or something else. So they send me emails. I probably sometimes, depending on the topic, the issue, the pushback, whatever it is, determines how many of these emails I get on a regular basis. Sometimes I get 1 or 2 a week. Sometimes I'll get 2 or 3 a day from different people associated with Obama's organization, Organizing for America. Now, this letter I got here, let's see, I guess it was just before Christmas. And this was from Michelle Obama, or at least has her name. They put their name on it. It's not that they write it. Somebody's written it for them and put their name on it, and we all understand that. And she talks about the fact that Barack Obama, she clarifies that he is, above all things, an organizer, a community organizer. As I read here, quoted, Barack Obama has only 12 months left as your president. And I know he's anxious to make the most of every opportunity to make change. And John, you'd better believe that you being right there alongside him, doing the hard work of organizing, matters to him. On January 12th, Barack Obama will give his last State of the Union address, and Organizing for America is one of the groups making sure people are preparing to watch and recommitting to the work ahead. OFA supporters are some of the best change makers out there. It's because of your hard work, passion, and dedication that we've accomplished so much over this past year. Now they go on to build on his accolades, the things that he's accomplished. We'll talk more about that in detail after in the next hour. We've continued to create jobs and rebuild our economy. We've cut carbon pollution. We've given millions more Americans the security of health care. And we've witnessed historic victories for equality across the country. These are the things that Barack Obama is going to be talking about in his State of the Union message. And those are the kinds of victories that Barack would love to celebrate with you. Say you'll watch the State of the Union to make sure you'll hear what's next. As Bob brought up in the segment we were talking about here just before our last break, it's what Barack Obama is going to do next. And we already know that he's going to try to pitch this gun control thing one more time. And the idea is to implement some kind of executive order, somehow try to implement gun control laws or regulations or whatever, and circumvent Congress, take it out of the debate arena as he's always done, and been successfully done, because in essence what he ends up doing is just challenging anybody to stop him. That's what community organizing is about. It's about doing what you want. It's about isolating, targeting, and going after a group of people or a person, and doing it in such a way that you either pressure them into giving you what you want, or you simply just do what you want anyways. Take, for instance, the Black Lives Matter movement. These people are not getting what they want. So what do? They go out and they interrupt celebrations and parades and events and stuff, campaign stops and stuff like this. And the object of the game is just to keep things in disruption and disarray. And what it does is it brings or initiates, it incites a sense of fear amongst those who witness it, and then those of us who hear it on the media, through the media. We're fearful. Oh, geez, what's happening? So anyway, that's what you're going to hear at the State of the Union. You're going to hear this ongoing thing about all the good things he's done and all the good things that are left to do in this last year. And that is to just throw it all up against the wall and basically challenge anybody to stop him. Now, the hope and intent is that everybody grabs onto it and the base stays active and shows up and votes. And we'll talk about that in the next hour, because I'm not so sure that Hillary Clinton is going to have people show up and vote for her any more than I'm sure they would show up and vote for somebody like a Jeb Bush in a general election. So anyway, we're going to talk about it when we come back. It's time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll be back in just a moment. Pay some bills. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Once again, the Republicans bend over for President Obama's awful agenda. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, despite the need for wasteful government spending to be curtailed, Congress, under the leadership of progressive Republican Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, has approved most of Obama's policies that are either a waste or downright harmful morally, ethically, or financially. Speaker Ryan and company pleased Obama with no funding cuts in the administration's massive budget to fund the corruption of climate change. Ryan and company have voted to turn their back on the federal government's responsibility of protecting us from enemies both foreign and domestic by allowing Obama's no restrictions on Syrian Muslim refugees, while at the same time looking the other way while Obama prevents Christian refugees from entering or staying in our republic, which was founded upon Christian principles. There is no repeal of Obamacare's medical device tax for 2 years, no funding cuts or IRS audit for abortion mill giant Planned Parenthood. Republicans also failed to limit a wide variety of costly clean energy policies. Such actions by the Republicans who said, "Vote for us," proves what Will Rogers said long ago. There's not a dime's worth of difference between Democrats and Republicans. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Our water heater broke down last month. It was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, we're back, and you're listening here. Hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate coming to you live right now. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, who is down with pneumonia right now. So I'm just asking each and every one of you out there to say a prayer for Joe and his family, that his recovery will be quick and full. And let's hope by the end of this week he's back on his feet. I know he's moving around. Last week he had a hard time moving around, and I know that he's moving around a little bit in these days. So let's just hope for a quick recovery. Our prayers out to Joe Hakos, our co-host here. at the Conservative Syndicate. Now, excuse me. Now, just before we move on to the Hillary Clinton campaign, we were talking the last hour about the Republican Party and what's going on there, about the fact that I think for all intents and purposes, barring any miraculous change, perhaps getting somebody like a Ted Cruz in the White House that would force the Republican Party to actually honor their platform or at least expose them for the turncoats that they have become, the Republican Party is pretty much finished. And it's finished, and it's kind of it's an oxymoron in some ways. And think about this just for a minute. The Republican Party right now fears governing. They don't want to really govern because once they govern, they're accountable. And when they're accountable, then people can tell who they are. And they're really trying to hide the fact of who they are by continuing to tell us how conservative they are when none of it really matches their voting record. And they have played different angles on us over the past 2 election cycles. First, it was they didn't have the people in the Senate. They didn't have the Senate majority. So anything they did in the House was ending up on Harry Reid's desk, and nothing was being voted for. So there's not a whole lot they could do. They got the Senate majority. And then it was, well, the guy in the White House will veto anything that we have to do. We don't have a supermajority. We don't have a veto-proof majority, so we can't do anything. And so we need somebody in the White House. So somebody like a Ted Cruz or even a Donald Trump steps up and says, hey, I'm willing to go to the wall. I'm willing to do what we have to do. You've got the majorities. You put me in there. I won't veto your stuff if you give me bills that will roll back government and everything else. And it seems, for all intents and purposes, the Republican Party doesn't want somebody like a Donald Trump or a Ted Cruz. Not that I'm saying Trump will be good. I'm just saying he will be contrary to what the Republican establishment wants and represents. So that's why he is not their favorite guy. Ted Cruz is even less favorite because here's a man that knows how to, or has some governing experience and knows politics to the degree that he can come out, he can present arguments, he can articulate, he can use that bully pulpit as well as anybody else. And once more, is he knows how to write legislation and everything else. So all that said, what we're seeing is this implosion of the Republican Party, who have chosen not to govern in order to protect their own power, not realizing or understanding that their own power is very much what they are endangering. Because consider this, if they continue with down the path they're going, nobody's going to have any reason to vote for them. Nobody's going to go to the polls and vote for these people for re-election. We've got, 26 senators, I believe, coming up for re-election. More than half of them are Republicans. Why would anybody go and vote if all we're going to get is the same thing? People are going to stay home. You're going to lose your job anyway. So if you're going to, why not put up some kind of a fight? At least if you lose, you can claim that you stood on principles instead of just you were defeated at your own hand, that kind of thing. So anyway, I want to kind of get into the situation here when it comes to the Democrat Party with Hillary Clinton, because she may be the shoo-in for the Democrat nominee, but that does not mean she's going to be a shoo-in in the general election. And there's reasons for that. But before I do that, we got about 4 minutes here. This is our short segment. I want to just make a mention here. If you haven't been following what's going on, I believe it's, let's see, where's it at out there right now? There's another land standoff. You all remember the Bundy Ranch, where the government came in and tried to take over some land from a cattle farmer because his cattle were grazing on federal land. And it was actually land that was Harry Reid wanted to give to some Oriental company to build some kind of business there in Nevada, and of course pad his pockets in the process. You'll remember that took place a couple of years ago. Well, now there's a standoff going on up in Oregon, and the militia, I guess some factions, that's what they're claiming, they're militia people, have taken over a federal building in Oregon. And the situation is that they're doing it in protest of a law that put 2 farmers, Dwight and Stephen Hammond, in prison for 5 years for starting fires on their land in 2001 and 2006. These fires were started to kill, they claim, to kill invasive species, meaning plants that were invading their land and causing havoc on, I guess, whatever those plants were doing. I don't know if it was a ranch. That means probably livestock or whatever. But anyway, some of the fire spread to public land, and 126 acres or something was destroyed because of this fire. Well, there's a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years if you do something like this. So they were convicted of arson, and because of that, were sentenced to a mandatory 5 years in prison for setting fire to their own land, and it happened to spill over into public lands, but nobody was hurt. Nothing was destroyed other than these invasive plants or vegetation that they were trying to get rid of. So it's one of these laws. This is what laws do, the mandated laws, and this is what happened. So now these guys are sitting in prison, and there's a protest. The militia has taken over a government office and said, this is wrong. This is wrong that these men have been sentenced to 5 years for starting a fire on their own land that didn't hurt anybody. So that's where we're at on that. And we'll be following this story because this is going to be played. This is one of these things that's going to be played out in the political arena. The left is going to try to make the most of it, and the right is going to stand up and protest and make the most of it on their side. So we got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll get into Hillary. I want to talk about Hillary in the time that we have left today, and also want to get to Obamacare. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609.
800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Life Line right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
We're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hickos, who is out this week again. He was out last week, out this week again, fighting viral infection, and I'm sure Joe's a fighter. He'll be back next week, and we just wish him all the best. All right, now let's get into, I was talking briefly when we were dealing with Bob Cardoso and Robert Cardoso Live the first hour about this, I call them love letters I got for Organizing for America, in which Michelle Obama is touting the success of her husband and all his accomplishments, but reminding us first and foremost that Obama is, above all things, a community organizer. And as I was reading that, it began, the scenario began to formulate in my head as to what we're going to see with Barack Obama the remainder of this year. And just suffice to say that everything he hasn't been able to cram down our throats the first 7 years he was in office, he's going to try to do it the last year he's in office. It'll be gun control. He's expanding green card issuing to illegals. I'm sure we haven't heard the end of the Syrian refugee crisis. And, of course, the Iranian deal right now, which is teetering on failure because of the Syrian refugee crisis and the fact that Congress and lawmakers want to tighten up immigration and visa issuing and all the other things, because we found out from the San Bernardino shootings that there is no real vetting process outside of asking terrorists if they're terrorists. That, in essence, is the vetting process, a series of questions regarding their intent and desires of coming to the United States. Are you a terrorist? Have you ever been a terrorist? Do you know any terrorists? Do you plan on performing terrorist acts while you're here in the United States? And that's really been the vetting process. And along with that, about the idea of not invading their right to privacy. You know, when you're not a citizen in this country, I'm sorry, you really have no rights. If you're here visiting, if you're here, whether it be as a tourist, whether you get over here in a fiancé visa, as the shooter in San Bernardino did, whether you're here for work or whatever, you have no rights as a U.S. citizen because you are not a U.S. citizen. And therefore, everybody who is here who is not a U.S. citizen should, by all intents and purposes, should be able to be screened and vetted and moderated and everything else by any means necessary. By any means necessary. So, having said that, again, as I begin to put all these pieces together, looking at what's out there in the media right now, we saw it start the last couple of weeks of December, articles starting to surface lauding Obama's accomplishments as president. Michelle Obama's letter here very, very quickly highlighted what she felt that this administration has been able to do. He's created jobs and he's rebuilt our economy. He's cut carbon pollution. He's given millions of Americans the security of health care, of course, at the expense of many more millions of Americans. And we've witnessed historic victories for equality across the country. That would be primarily the LGBT movement or the homosexual activist movement. And these are the kind of things that community organizers do. They circumvent the rights of citizens by redefining, deconstructing what those rights entail and redefining them to mean whatever you want to do, you should be able to do. Of course, the catch-all is as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. Well, all these things hurt everybody else or at least other people. So there was a blog that came out. I didn't know this, but Don Dix was on the show with us last week doing his weekly segment. Don is with the Act for America, and he's one of our contributing panel members. And he had mentioned towards the end of his time with us last week this blog that came out of a website called DipNote. And this is the official blog site for the State Department, and this blog was posted by John Kirby on Christmas Eve. Now, I'm going to just kind of go through this thing and read it. I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs of this blog, because the reason I'm doing this is so that you'll understand this is what Barack Obama is going to be touting at his State of the Union message, his last State of the Union message. And this is what the left will be using as their campaign fodder. There's no doubt in our mind that Hillary Clinton is going to run as Barack Obama version 3.0. There's no doubt about that. It's a matter of whether it sticks or not. If she can harness the popularity, the favorability of Barack Obama in spite of low job approval numbers, there's the paradox for you. He's a popular guy, well liked by the Democratic base, but even the Democratic base doesn't think he's been that effective in terms of job approval rating. And I think it's now up to 75, 80% of the country thinks that we're going in the wrong direction. But the paradox of liberal politics is you don't have to be good at what you do as long as people like you. That's I guess that's the premise. That's a utopian ideal in play there. You don't have to be ethical or honest or anything else as long as you're likable. Barack Obama's a good father. Therefore, he's an expert on everything that deals with being a parent, when in actuality, he's raising his kids to be commies just like he is. So here we go. This is the blog. This is written by John Kirby. I'm going to read you the first couple of paragraphs, and then we're going to go through the list. And I want you to pay particular attention to a couple of things here. I'm talking about Barack Obama because this is how Hillary Clinton is going to be playing her campaign. It says here, today the Secretary sent a note to State Department staff summing up a busy year and charting the course ahead. His message, that means John Kerry, his message got me thinking about the pivotal foreign policy events that took place this year and a great hashtag, 2015 in 5 words, which was recently trending on Twitter. Now, surely the year was not without challenges. Our hearts are with the families that lost loved ones to terrorism, natural disasters, disease, and violence. This is the premise. Listen to how they word this. Our hearts are with the families that lost loved ones to terrorism, natural disasters, disease, and violence. These are all the issues that the left has been saying need to be fixed. Need to be fixed, need to be changed, need to be legislated, need to be regulated, need to be forced on American citizens in order to prevent terrorism, natural disasters, disease, and violence. Our work to secure our national interests and build peace and enhance prosperity around the world continues in honor of them. Well, I don't know where it became the United States' responsibility to be responsible for prosperity around the world. Oh, I know, when Barack Obama got elected. Actually, when Bill Clinton got elected. Actually, when Jimmy Carter got elected. Actually, when Franklin Roosevelt got elected. That's when it began. Jimmy Carter began the real progressive movement. Bill Clinton built on it as much as he could for his own personal gain. And of course, Barack Obama has taken it to the max. He's pushed down on the throttle. He's going full bore. At the same time, Kirby goes on to say, it's also important to take a step back and look at how the United States has helped change the world for the better. Okay, so not only is it our responsibility, I guess, to make sure everybody's prosperous, but it's our responsibility to make the world a better place. Our diplomats have been busy, and they have met with significant success across a range of issues. Each of these issues vital in their own way to ensuring the safety, security, and prosperity of the American people. So here's my take on 2015 in 5 words. Okay, now, what he's done here is he's given us a heading of different things that he believes the Obama administration has accomplished on a national or international level. and in doing so has addressed the concerns, of course, of terrorism, natural disasters, disease, and violence. See, these are the four things that Barack Obama uses as needed to put out when he's out on his campaign trail, which is always on his campaign trail, when he's out selling his latest snake oil concoction, and he's out there trying to tell us that what he has in store for America is, of course, the right thing to do, and it needs to be done now. So everything is centering around these four things: terrorism, natural disasters, disease, and violence. And that, those are all bad things. And so we use those as the subject matter to be able to excuse and allow Barack Obama to do what he thinks is right. Okay, number one, diplomatic relations reestablished with Cuba. Somehow this is in our best interest. U.S. and Cuba reestablished diplomatic relations. In January, Cuba and the United States began talks to reestablish diplomatic relations after 54 years. Those talks resulted in the July reopening of the Cuban embassy in Washington, D.C., and the United States Embassy in Havana. To mark the occasion, Secretary Kerry traveled to Havana, Cuba, where he watched as the American flag was raised at the embassy building there. So the State Department is telling us what? This is one of the great things that the Barack Obama administration has accomplished, and this is good for America, and it should be touted as an accomplishment, that we reestablished diplomatic relations with Cuba. Now, I want you to keep one thing in mind here as I'm going through these things. This is the utopianism in play here. The idea being that because some step was taken and we haven't seen the results of it, it still is a good thing. We've reestablished diplomatic relations with Cuba. Therefore, it's good. Not what could happen because of this, not the fallout from it, whatever. We've done it. We reestablished a connection. Therefore, it's good. And you're going to see this in the list as we go down the list here. This is what they're doing. They're touting things that they've either started or wanted to start, and claiming that it is an accomplishment, and of course, better for America. So now, having said that, Joe's on the line here. I guess he got out of bed. How you doing, Joe? Are you there?
Yes, John.
How are you feeling, my friend?
I'm a little slow, but that's okay. I can finally
I'm glad to see you up and moving around. What's the prognosis?
Rest.
Yeah, I can imagine. We're just sitting here rehashing this. I know you were in bed last week, but Don Dix came on last week, and right towards the end of his segment, he floated this article to me, a blog that was, the State Department has their own blog site.
Yeah, you were talking about victory for Obama and America opening the Cuban foreign relations with the Cubans again. I find it kind of funny, John. It's just going to open up for those wonderful vacation spots for the likes of Rahm Emanuel, because that's where he went on vacation, John.
Yeah, and
we opened it up. Now Rahm is one of the first ones. The first mayor of Chicago since Daley or something, probably, or since before Daley, to go visit Havana vacation.
Well, it's doesn't that just bring you back visions of Michael Corleone and The Godfather?
Exactly. It's like we finally have a government we can work with.
Yeah, I know. And the more I read this article, the more it dawned on me, it brought me to this conclusion that in the liberal world, you don't have to really accomplish anything. You just really have to just say, we did something. And because we did it, this is what it's going to do, without any proof, any evidence that what you're saying is actually true. It's just the fact that we said it, therefore it is.
Well, in spite of evidence saying it did exactly the opposite of what you wanted it to do.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, everything that this guy has done, all the evidence points to failure, and yet just because it's his intent that makes it honorable. It's his intent, not the outcome, not the circumstances, not the anything, the results of it. It's that his intent's there.
Yeah.
I think it's the right thing to do. Therefore, I'm going to do it. Is it right or wrong? It doesn't matter. It's right because I said it's right, and it's going to do something because I said it's going to do something. So we don't have to measure anything against this. We got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to continue. I'm glad to have Joe back on the line here with us. I hope he can hang with us for the next half hour. Right now, folks, it's time for Moments of Madness. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right on Moments of Madness. An article posted at Bloomberg by Jonathan Bernstein entitled "The Trump Effect Begins to Hit Congress" illustrates very well that what is at stake in the upcoming 2016 general election is not about the GOP's concern about who they will oppose in the Oval Office, but whether or not they have a majority that allows them to protect their individual posts. Bernstein very accurately points out that whether or not Trump magically transforms into the hybrid conservative moderate formerly known as a rhino, the GOP still stands to lose in those demographics they are working so hard to win over through their continual compromise with Obama's agenda to fundamentally transform the United States of America due to Trump's unwillingness to tone his rhetoric and instead fall in line behind the bonarized yes men that rule today's establishment. But that's not all. While the GOP tries their best to convey all they need to return America to the GOP platform they themselves have dismantled plank by plank is control of the executive branch. It is quite obvious, even if a real conservative like Ted Cruz, himself a member of their most sought-after demographic, should be the last candidate standing, they fear losing the stability that defines the establishment they have worked decades to create in the House and Senate. Here's the madness. The bottom line is, it is not the future of America that is at stake. It's their jobs. The likes of Donald Trump or Ted Cruz in the White House threaten those jobs. Winning to today's GOP elite is more about the individual security that comes from holding a position that equates intelligence and skill with esteem and pay while exhibiting no qualifications for the job whatsoever. We know this because the current list of establishment elites seeking the White House remain at the bottom of the pond with popularity numbers between 0 and 3%. Yet they are still the ones the media flock to and the left exhorts when upper-tier candidates like Trump or Cruz comment on the weather in hope of rising from the bottom to the top of the cesspool they thrive in. When the best you can do is whine about today's political landscape while at the same time lamenting that which once was, who cares what John Kasich thinks about legislative reform? When the best you can refer to is a past that fades like a Clinton scandal, who cares if Jeb Bush tells you he can fix what he and his family helped break? When you do not even have a number that registers on the scale, who cares what Lindsey Graham believes is good foreign policy? In fact, who cares what Graham thinks about anything except maybe his choice of wine? It remains to be seen whether or not the GOP knocks over the chessboard by forcing a brokered convention next year in hope of getting their choice on the ballot, because they know they are about to lose to the new kid in the class. But one thing is certain. Regardless of how the rules are changed, everyone knows who the brats are, and everyone knows class is about to be dismissed. Maybe, just maybe then, these elites can take the position they are most qualified for, janitor sweeping the floors of the halls of Congress. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness.
Our water heater broke down last month. It was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakels from Dry Report, who has managed to crawl out of bed and get to the keyboard, and you can't stop us conservatives once we get going. It's just the way it is. I want to remind everybody you can check us out at theconservativesyndicate.net. As I stated at the beginning of the show, I moved the chat room. I set the chat room up in its own page just because it was too small where it was at, and I was missing chats because I just wasn't seeing it. And if you do come in the chat room, like we had gentlemen from Canada checking in today, and apparently didn't stick around long enough for me to get back to them, you can come into the chat room and post your questions and comments. I may not answer it right away, but I check the chat room at the break. So if you hang around long enough, we'll get to you and we will answer your stuff on the air. So you can go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can just click on chat room. There's a chat room link there. It'll take you to a chat room page where the show is playing also. And, that's where it's going. I also want to announce we were picked up again by yet another affiliate. And today is our first broadcast on Liberty. Oh, geez, where is it here? I want to get their name right. Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. We've been posting podcasts out there, but starting today, they are carrying our broadcast live also. So we have another live affiliate, Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. So we're glad to be part of their organization. And I guess I just want to say this before I get back to Joe here. We're getting our numbers in for the year, and believe it or not, folks, I'm just more than amazed. But we were actually out in the neighborhood. We were 30,000 short of almost 2 million listeners this year. Believe it or not, I just got stats in. We had 2 large affiliates, and I haven't even totaled up the small ones yet. But between the 2 large ones, Red State Radio and Northern Star Radio Media Network, we were 30,000 short of 2 million listeners this year. So it's all because of you guys, and we appreciate the listenership and the loyalty. So having said that, I want to get back to Joe here while he's feeling good and wanting to say something. You had something you wanted to add about the new year, Joe?
Yeah. Since I didn't make the first of the year broadcast, and since being in bed and whatever, being ill, you get more introspective, which is probably than you ought to be. But anyway, I just wanted to have folks know we've got one charge as conservatives this year. You're going to hear all the crap about Barack Obama this and Barack Obama that. Barack Obama is a non-entity anymore. This is his last year. So we got to stand fast against the liberal media. And they are all liberal. Every one of them are liberal media. Even that bastion at Fox is liberal. It's all liberal. There's one network organization out there, I'll let you figure it out, because in the sea of darkness, they will shine out in the light, okay? You'll be able to figure out who those people are. I want you to follow these people, because that's what we have to do this year. If we don't do that this year, this election here, it's not going to end well. I want you to find that person. You're going to find these people out there are squabbling and just backbiting each other, and you need to stand aside from it. The media is going to play into it. They're going to, because let's face it, they want print ads, they want FaceTime on TV and everything else. So we must avoid that. Stand by, look at it, stand aside, and elect the person that's best qualified, that you can feel is best qualified in each and every election till you defeat every Democrat that comes on a ballot this year. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I agree. There's several aspects of this thing that as we get more and more into the year here. Right now, the big focus is, of course, coming up on the primaries, and everybody's geared as to what's going on there. Is Trump going to win? Is Cruz going to win? Is the GOP going to broker it? Are they going to do something to mess it up? The Democrats at this point, and I want to reiterate, at this point, looks like they have their gal. Now, a lot of things can play out in the next few months. We're not really sure how it's going to play out. But one of the things that we really need to, as conservatives, understand is that one of the things one of the things that works to the left's advantage is the dirtiness of politics, the corruption of politics, because the average person, the average good American, I'm going to clarify, good American. That means the average American who gets up and goes to work and they raise their family and they believe in God and they have some kind of moral compass and they pay their taxes and they sit in front of the TV and they watch everything happening and they're just wondering what's going on. And then they look at the candidates and the people that are running for office and they just kind of toss their hands up and say, it's disgusting who these people are. It's disgusting what they represent. And so what I do is stay home. This is our challenge as conservatives. Those of us who are in the fight, in the trenches, out there, our job is to find those people and convince them and encourage them that if they stay home and don't vote, if they don't find that candidate, you vote for whoever you believe in. Okay, I'm not telling you who to vote for. Of course, if you don't vote for Ted Cruz, then, you're wrong. But you're right. You have the right to be wrong. Okay, I want to clarify that. You can vote for who you want, and you have the right to be wrong. But the point being is if you don't, and you allow the Democrats, the Democrats are going to have a low voter turnout this time around. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That big crowd that Bernie Sanders is hanging out with, that big college crowd, he'll garner some votes out of that crowd. But I guarantee you probably 80% of those kids are going to stay home because election day will be, after the weekend. And, partying on the weekend is more important. So they won't be ready to get, they haven't done their homework over the weekend if they have homework. I don't even know if they have homework anymore in college. But the point being is that the voter turnout for Bernie Sanders will be relatively high, proportionally high, but not enough to do any damage. Hillary Clinton is more of Obama. And one thing we know, in spite of what the media is telling us, Barack Obama's job approval is not good. His popularity may be up there. He may be sitting at 60% as the cool guy. But as a job approval, as a president, 80% of the country is telling us it's going in the wrong direction, and he's got a 45, in some polls, 40% job approval rating. That is a terrible percentage. That's equivalent to George Bush in his last term, if you want some comparisons there. So this is why I was bringing up earlier, that the media is going to be in overdrive trying to convince us that everything that Barack Obama has thrown against the wall in the last 7 years has been good for America, because Clinton is going to toe the same line. She's going to come out and do the same thing. Obama wants to do gun control through executive order, some kind of gun control through executive order. She's, that's a good thing to do. He's out there trying to, he wants to issue more green cards, 100,000 additional green cards. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We can't tear families apart. Clinton is going to be Obama. And the only thing that she's got going for that she's going to try to sell is that she's a woman. That's going to be the big difference between her and Obama. We talked about this in our quotes last week. One of the things she was asked, why should Americans vote for you? Why if they think that you're going to be Obama, third term Obama? Well, I'm a woman. That was her answer. I'm a woman, and that's different. See, that's liberal speak. That's the utopian mindset that I was talking about earlier as we're going through the State Department list here. It's that what you're saying, it doesn't have to have any substance. Hillary's out there, she's the biggest advocate for the LGBT community. Since when? Since the Supreme Court said that it's okay for people of the same sex to get married. Well, because now she's got the backing. She's got some kind of support system that she can say, I'm going along with what the court says, the Supreme Court, law of the land, that kind of stuff. Barack Obama's doing what I would do anyway. So she has the support system. This woman doesn't think for herself. She grabs on the coattails of whatever's going on out there, and if it works to her political advantage. But my point is, I don't think it's going to work to her political advantage, because should she end up the lone person at the podium come June of next year or this year, I don't think the turnout's going to be there. She doesn't have the black community in her pocket. She doesn't have the unions in her pocket. She has some of the unions, but a lot of those unions belong to Sanders. So this is not a sure thing in the general election. She might walk away with a Democrat nomination, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to general election, because I guarantee you, up against somebody like a Trump or a Cruz, they're going to turn her into toast. There's no, especially Cruz. Cruz is just going to rip her a new one. And so, hey, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion here. I'm John Matthews, along with my co-host Joe Hakos. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. And we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. And we were talking before the break here about the necessity or what we need to be aware of coming up this year in this election. One thing is for damn sure, as sure as I'm sitting here, we've seen some dirty elections in the past. I think this is going to be probably historically the dirtiest election we're ever going to see, and maybe in our lifetime, because there's so much at stake here. And if anybody knows how to play dirty politics, it's the Clintons. They've been doing it for over 50 years. They know how to play this game, and they've got people like Barack Obama behind them now, at least off in the side. You know, somebody's coaching these guys. Somebody's doing something out there. Right now, everybody across the board is kind of just laying low. There's not a whole lot going on because there's no need for it. But come general election time, when you have a Republican candidate up there and all the focus becomes on that candidate and whoever the Democrat candidate is, and if it is Hillary Clinton, you're not going to have the media to have 8 or 9 people out there that they can randomly pick on at will. They're going to have to focus on 2 people. And a lot of this stuff is going to be brought back. And a lot of stuff is going to be rehashed. We were talking earlier in the show about Hillary's Benghazi lie, about the family. She's calling the families of those killed in Benghazi liars. That they're saying at least 2 of the families said she told us it was video. She's saying, I never said that. And she was asked, right, well, who's lying? She goes, well, it's not me. So she's basically calling the family of those killed liars. Now, why is that? Well, because that's going to be an issue in the general election. And now there's a movie coming out that's going to be about this. 13 Hours, I think it's called, or something. And apparently from the reviews I've heard so far, it is not a movie that's going to paint Hillary Clinton in a favorable light or the Obama administration in a favorable light. So we got to get the guns out there. We got to start neutralizing the story, neutralizing the damage. And so what's going to happen is we're starting to see more and more of these articles about how great Obama was. Now, Obama's got a year left in office. As Joe said, he's irrelevant for all intents and purposes, outside of what he can throw against the wall here in the last year and basically challenge Congress, hey, come after me and do what you can.
Yeah, he's just going to try to do whatever he could do to make a huge mess. Somebody else has to come in behind him and clean it up.
Yeah,
spend the entire, the majority of their first term cleaning up his garbage rather than actually moving our country forward in a right way as opposed to progressive. We progress. We don't. Yeah, Obama is a piece of crap, and we all know it. And it's time to quit. It's time to ignore the little kid that got his lunch money stolen from him every day. Okay, the little punk needs to go away.
Yeah, and I agree. But he is relevant in this manner. He is relevant in the sense that everything he's done and everything he's going to try to do is something that supposedly, I think the idea or the strategy is something to allow his popularity versus his job approval, his popularity to allow Hillary to hang her coattail on, grab a hold of that coattail, and hopefully his popularity will springboard her into the White House. I think it's going to be a failed strategy.
Stupid as all get out.
but I think that's the intent. And that's the only thing that makes him relevant at this point is the fact that he's going to try to create that aura. He's going to try to get her to, put that umbrella out there and hope that her unpopularity and her untrustworthiness and her corruption, all that gets kind of masked by the Obama persona, Mr. Mojo himself.
Yeah.
I think that's the plan.
The Mac Daddy. Just remember, right now we are in the preamble. We are in the first half of this game, folks, up until July 18th. 2016, that's when the Republicans have their convention, and they're supposed to nominate a candidate for presidency. And then after that, the gloves are off. Yeah. Every slick of media out there is going to get their knives out, and they're going to go poke the Republican.
Well, whoever happens to be that Republican candidate. I heard, for instance, real quick here, Alan Grayson, that Looney Tune down in your neck of the woods, down in Florida.
Thanks. Republicans want you to die. They want you to die slowly. Yes, that guy.
Yeah. Well, I can pick on you because we have our own set of Looney Tunes out here. Okay. But he has already said if Ted Cruz is a nominee, he's going to sue for him being the nominee because he believes he's not a citizen.
Yeah, now, okay. Whatever.
Okay, now just think of the audacity of that. The audacity, the birther movement, this whole idea of birther movement, whether it be the Republican or the Democrat side, whether it be John McCain or Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or any of them out there saying, well, these people aren't eligible. Barack Obama killed that argument. He completely negated any validity in that argument at all. An American mother, a Kenyan father, a birth registration versus a birth certificate. Everybody hid it. Everybody just pushed it under. The birther movement became part of that extremist right-wing radical conspiracies, all this other stuff. And now we're going to come back and we're going to say, oh, now we're going to question the citizenship of somebody like Marco Rubio.
Of course we would. Alan Grayson would. That's for sure. I mean, come on.
And I mean, if Obama lowered the bar, and so now you want to raise the bar, and
absolutely the bar is so low, John. You have to scoop water out of it to get over it.
But this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen.
Oh yes, that's what I'm saying. So July 18th. That's your cutoff date. That's halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And after July 18th is when the long knives come out, and they do this. Every one of them are going to do this. I just watched the media today or the past week, and it's just ridiculous. It's like these people don't even like these people, and yet they're putting them on here. I'm like, this is stupid. This is absolute insanity.
Yeah.
Take a few days and step back and just look at it.
Well, I was over the Christmas vacation here. I had so many things I wanted to do. With the picking up, we picked up another affiliate, and I wanted to make some more promos. There's some things that I need to get done, and I just said, you know what, this is Christmas. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to take the time, enjoy my family, and do what I wanted to do. But I did spend some time doing something I don't normally do, and that is watching the media.
Mm-hmm.
I surfed a lot between One American News Network, which I happen to like, Fox News. I think Newsmax has a news channel now, and the difference is so apparent when you go to some place like One American News or Newsmax. Mm-hmm. The way that they are reporting the news, they're reporting the news the way it used to be.
Uh-huh.
This is what's going on. These are the facts that we know. The left is saying this, the right is saying that. No real commentary on anything. You get to Fox News, they spent the whole last week, what was it they were talking about? It was about the, I don't remember now, but it was something just, it's something that you normally would see on MSNBC. Oh, it was the Chicago riot or something. The shooting, the shooting of the black teenager in Chicago or something, and Black Lives Matter out there. And there was this big debate about Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, why are you idiots giving these people airtime? You're getting these radical black terrorists, Black Panther types, and you're putting them on the air and you're letting them rant and rave about how bad white America is. And when did that become newsworthy? It became newsworthy because it's sensationalism. So Fox News to me is sensationalistic. It's like they're just,
that's what I'm telling you.
They're just like the rest of them.
It's like my whole point was, that's my whole point. Look in the ocean of darkness that is the media. I think you'll see one media group out there that's probably not that. That's probably be that beacon of light out there. You'll be able to see. I don't have to tell people what it is. Go ahead. You'll figure it out for yourselves. And that's the other thing. We will figure this out for ourselves. They're worried about Trump this, Trump that. These people. No. Hey, let the voters decide, people.
Yeah. Well, one thing I know for sure, I'm smiling ear to ear that 2 years after we've already done it, or I've done it anyway, Rush Limbaugh, Franklin Graham, and Mark Levin have all decided that GOP is not the place to be anymore. Once again, they've caught up with us. That makes me happy. So,
understand, brother.
Anyway, guys, we're out of time. We got to sign off for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Let's see. Anybody on tomorrow? I don't know who's on tomorrow. I'll check the schedule. You'll know tomorrow. You got to tune in to find out who's on tomorrow. Yeah, how about that? There's a challenge for you. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. And once again, Joe, take care of yourself. Okay, you're no good to me sick.
I'm going to do that.
All right, take care, guys. God bless you. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock here on the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all of our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best and uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, signing off until next time, right here on the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.